Yeah. So good morning, everyone. First and foremost, thank you for being part of this webinar session. So today's topic agenda will be achieving rapid response threat in pharma sector using Microsoft Security Copilot. So before we dive in, let me just preface by saying what the title actually means. So I'm going to stress upon rapid response. So rapid response basically refers to the ability for systems to analyze and respond to any threat faster than any kind of traditional method that can be allowed. So as an example, in traditional methodology, we use playbooks to basically triage and respond to security threats as well as solutions. But today we'll see and utilize how AI systems, specifically Microsoft Security Copilot, can help us in this response. I'll show you that how you and your team can detect and respond to any kind of cybersecurity threats rapidly and more quickly. Now, why is this topic important? This topic is particularly important because recent statistics have indicated that cybersecurity teams, especially SOC centers, security operations centers teams, often work significant, work-related stress as well as burnouts. Some studies estimate that between 19 to 70% of the workforce may be affected by this. Now, given these challenges, I believe it is essential that organizations adopt tools and technologies that improve the entire workforce productivity as well as strengthen the security posture within their particular organizations. So, with that out of the way, let me briefly cover the agenda for today's session. So, this is the table of contents for today's session. We'll start and we'll discuss about I2E. We'll see what is Microsoft Security Copilot. We'll discuss about the use cases of Microsoft Security Copilot, specifically in the pharma sector. Then we'll look into a particular benefits that Security Copilot provides to organization since it is a particular new offering from Microsoft. And finally, we'll touch upon the pricing that is offered by Microsoft Security. So about I2E. I2E Consulting is a software services company which was founded in the year 2008. It was funded. It was created in the US, and we are basically a IT consulting firm for industries in pharmaceutical, biotech, manufacturing, construction, as well as finance. Our major services revolve around portfolio and project management. Not only do we have experience in the PPM tools, we have also helped multiple organizations set up their entire PPM practice from scratch. The other services that we provide are business intelligence, data analytics, cloud migration, as well as staff augmentation. We have been recognized in the industry and basically we're a major contender in the Everest Digital Services Specialist Peak Matrix 2024 ladder. We are also ISO compliant and we have been awarded Grace Place to Work for the past 4 years. Coming to our customers, we provide business consulting and technology solutions to large pharmaceutical companies like Zentalis, Kite, Loxo Oncology, UPL, etc. We are also certified partners with Planisware, DataIQ, AWS, Microsoft, Snowflake, as well as PlanView. And the major technologies that we look into are Tableau, SharePoint, Spotfire, Office 365, Snowflake, and Analytics, particularly on AWS as well as Amazon. So coming to the topic of this presentation, what is Microsoft Security Copilot? First, I'll touch upon that Microsoft Security Copilot is the first generative AI, Gen AI product, and especially for enterprise security that will help defend organizations at machine speed. So it has been designed from the ground up from the Microsoft security team to help organizations to enhance their overall cybersecurity posture. What Security Copilot provides is basically a natural language experience and also a Copilot experience. So basically you can chat with it as a simple chatbot that will help security professionals in the end-to-end response and analysis, specifically in scenarios such as incident response, threat hunting, intelligence gathering, and posture management. Why is Microsoft Copilot advanced? Because it integrates the entire OpenAI's advanced language models, even the latest ones like GPT-4o and GPT-o1 architecture, to generate a response to users' queries by looping in specific security specific plugins, having the organization specific information, and having a backbone of global threat intelligence. This is for the first time that an enterprise product of such a caliber has been rolled out. Now this allows us to perform 3 main tasks. One is detect and respond to any kind of security threat faster within the entire organization. automate the routine and rudimentary security tasks which are performed, and also provide actionable insights both to the security teams who are working on it, as well as the CISOs and CTOs who will be looking at the reports. So with this overview of Security Copilot, let's talk about what are the major components of Microsoft Security Copilot. So the major components of Microsoft Security Copilot are its integration with all the Security Copilot tools and Office 365 tools, basically like Microsoft Sentinel, which is a SIEM platform, Microsoft Defender, which is an XDR platform, Microsoft Entra, which is used for IAM, that is identity and access management, Microsoft Intune, which is used for endpoint detection and deployments, and it supports multiple third-party integrations such as Netscope, URL scan, Grey Noise, etc. Now there are two methods to access Microsoft Security Copilot, and they are known as, one is the standalone experience and the other is the embedded experience. So in the standalone experience, we can access it through the URL securitycopilot.microsoft.com. So what it does is it basically allows the security teams to use natural language, basically English language, to put in prompts that will basically then enable the entire security team to carry out their workflows. So this actually simplifies threat management. It simplifies the incident response and also increases the speed of the reporting processes. The other part of the experience is known as the embedded experience. So in this, Copilot is extensively embedded in a multiple range of UI products within Microsoft Security, such as Defender, XDR, Sentinel, Intune, Entra, and many other things. All of this is built on top of MDTI, that is Microsoft Defender Threat Intelligence. And how it comes into picture is basically Sentinel and especially the major security tools use Microsoft Graph in the backend to basically revolve around this. So once you provision the SCU, that is security compute units, it will then stay on top of it, and then the dedicated Azure resources will be used for the operation of Security Copilot. Security Copilot can be purchased through the Azure portal, either through distributors or through partners. Now, these are the main components which are there in Microsoft Security Copilot. But how does it work actually in working? So this flowchart actually depicts the entire data flow for how it works. So I'll try to simplify it and try to make you understand, like how it works actually. So the first step of the entire process, and as you can see in the diagram, I'll just take a laser pointer. The Security Copilot is at the forefront of all the different integrations within the Microsoft Security stack. So it is where all the data resides and where it works across. So the first step in the process is basically the user prompt. So in this, what happens, it can either be a user or it can also be a security product, basically a third-party integration that initiates a request or a query. This request is then sent to Microsoft Security Copilot. Once the Microsoft Security Copilot gets this, it may use its plugins, as a second part of the process, that is pre-processing and grounding, to gather additional context. So these can be, details about alerts. It can be the threats. It can be the configuration details which the security team has analyzed. In grounding, basically means that, the Copilot will align the user prompt, which has been given by the user, with relevant security data from Microsoft products like Defender, Intune, Sentinel, or from any of the third-party source, and ensures that the question, that is the prompt, has the correct context for it. Then in the third part, what happens is Security Copilot will modify the prompt. So after it gathers the relevant context, it will then refine or modify with additional data. And this refined question will then get sent to the large language model, LLM. So in our case, the LLM are the Azure OpenAI LLMs. So what does the fourth step mean? In LLM response, the large language model, which will be running on Azure OpenAI process, will generate the refined prompt and generate a response for it. Once it is generated, it will go to responsible AI. So responsible AI checks are applied to both the user's prompt as well as the LLM's output to ensure that the model follows all ethical and compliance guidelines. Once the responsible AI part is taken care of, we come to post-processing and grounding. So Security Copilot actually takes the raw response from the LLM and may use its plugins. So these can be both internal as well as external plugins to further tailor the output. So this might include, translating the LLM's answer into specific actions, which can be taken on the Azure portal. It can be looking up relevant threat information, which are there, or it can be, just formatting the answer for the end user's queries. Once this is done, then the response and app commands are finally sent to the user. So here, the processed answer or any kind of automated commands are returned to the original security solution. So in that case, it can be Entra ID, it can be Purview, it can be Sentinel. So this can show up as a textual answer for the user if the security analyst actually plugs in an question, or it can be like, performing some automated steps like initiating an investigation or running a script based on the LN's response. So this was the data flow on how it moves. But what we have to be cognizant is the entire data flow and this entire process takes place within data flow boundaries as well as this Microsoft Security Trust boundary. So this diagram, shows a clear boundary which indicates that the customer data never leaves this compliance boundary. Everything is stored within the Azure tenant itself. And all requests which are there, be it for the internal plugins, external plugins, or any other solution that you integrate with Security Copilot, will always be encrypted via HTTPS. One more step that Microsoft has taken is that the LLMs which are hosted on Azure OpenAI instance themselves are maintained by Azure, and OpenAI does not have access to any specific customer data, and they never use any of this data for any kind of training as well. So this entire design from the ground up actually allows Security Copilot to combine the AI reasoning from the LLM with the real-time security context from the user's Azure tenant and policy data, which comes from Microsoft and third-party security solutions. All the while ensuring that all the compliances and data protection security measures are kept in place. So this is how the technical architecture of Security Copilot is. Now moving on to what are the use cases and which are the areas in which customers have already started using Microsoft Security Copilot. So the three major areas in which Microsoft Security Copilot is being used right now is first is incident response. So what happens? Suppose there is a company which faces an major breach or a cybersecurity breach as example. So incident response in this case, Microsoft Security Copilot actually helps you to streamline the entire investigation attack by correlating data from multiple sources. So as I mentioned, you can have internal data sources from Microsoft tenant as well as third-party integrations. Then it automates the identification of the compromised systems and also provides possible mitigations for this. So this actually helps, create an entire report which the security analyst can then take to the higher ups or to the management to get approval for remediation in this case. Then comes the threat hunting process. Threat hunting is required for large organizations because you have to be compliant with multiple industry compliances. As an example, if we take pharmaceutical sector, then we have to be compliant with HIPAA guidelines. We have to be compliant with ISO regulations. We have to be compliant with a lot of Californian laws and also GDPR. So in this case, what security teams actually do is they have a large threat hunting team. So here Microsoft Security Copilot can actually help and assist all the analysts in proactively searching for any kind of, vulnerabilities or, IOCs. So in this case, you have plugins with multiple other vendors as well to, taking your data from those sources. Then what Security Copilot helps you is you can write a KQL, that is a custom query language query, to interact with any kind of log data. KQL is widely used. It is used across AWS as well as Azure. After this, the third main point is automated analysis. So Security Copilot actually analyzes all kinds of suspicious files, scripts, or any kind of network activity. It provides detailed explanations and also recommendations for mitigation. So this actually solves a lot of problems for the junior security analysts, since previously they had to, refer to a lot of wiki or knowledge base articles to get information. But here in this case, they can just ask a simple prompt in English and then get the answer from that. Now, these were the use cases which Microsoft themselves have said have been instrumental, in implementing Microsoft Security Copilot across organizations. But we'll dive specifically into what are the major use cases which pharma companies can utilize this for. So I'll go through 4 examples to basically say how Security Copilot will revolutionize, the entire security operations. So the first is, to safeguard any kind of patient data or any clinical trial or proprietary data that organizations have. So just to give you an example, suppose there is an login attempt outside of office hours when there may not be many SOC analysts working around the clock. In this case, what happens is Microsoft Security Copilot will have built-in alerts which will detect, unidentified login attempts outside the office hour, identify any kind of brute force attacks, and block the IP so that the IT or the cybersecurity team is aware, like, what has taken place when they were offline and what are the recommendations to follow to ensure that such kind of incidents don't reoccur. In this specific case, we are using Microsoft XDR along with Sentinel. So since Security Copilot, as I mentioned previously, is at the forefront of security technology, and it is the basis for detecting all and ingesting all of the log data, it takes in inputs from Microsoft XDR, Sentinel, as well as Entra ID, which is the IAM tool, and then detects all of these kinds of login attempts. How this is helpful is, if I give you an example of a traditional SOC, what happens is you have to have a round the clock analysts who are working. They can be junior analysts, but they have to be working round the clock. Then if they are not working, then all of the data which has been ingested when they were offline will be of no use, because then the other team will have to go back and start from scratch. This actually has a lot of manual effort. In this case, what is happening, since you have Security Copilot enabled in your organizations as your tenant, you're using it to detect any kind of anomalies and also be compliant. So this part forms a major portion of compliance. So you have detailed logs and analysis for all of this. And since by default Security Copilot gives a detailed list of recommendations, both what needs to be done and what can be done to prevent future attacks, this is very helpful for the infosec team to implement. Then comes the threat detection. So as I mentioned about threat intelligence in the previous slide, where we can see like what are the potential breaches that could occur, so kind of a simulation attack, and real-time AI powered monitoring for detecting the breach. So if I take ransomware as an example for a life science, then AI, in this case that Security Copilot, will analyze the different vectors, different logs across the entire organization, suggest containment steps, like where the breaches occurred and what are the containment steps that can be taken, and also provide detailed steps for secure restoration. So in this case, there was an example of one pharmaceutical company, which along with their EDR solution, and they used the EDR as a plugin to Security Copilot, they actually detected ransomware attacks when the InfoSec and the IT team were on leave, during the period of Christmas and New Year. So there actually they were able to contain this attack. Similar to this, there are two other use cases where Microsoft Security Copilot plays a major role. Third one is protection of intellectual property, such as if it's a pharmaceutical company, then mainly it will deal with patents and formulations. So how this helps is, Microsoft Security Copilot will use MDTI, that is Microsoft Threat Detection Intelligence, and external workflows and integrations to see that wherever confidential data has been stored on unsecured public storage. As an example, suppose there is a storage on Azure cloud, that is Azure blob storage, which is on public access. So Microsoft Security Copilot in this case will actually flag that this sensitive or confidential data along with the sensitivity label is actually uploaded to unsecured public storage, that is an Azure blob, and then it will give recommendations to the security analyst to actually recover that data and make it more secure or make it private. One more method in which it can do is basically, suppose there is a randomized login attempt to any of the security analysts who are working on the team. So Security Copilot along with Entra ID will actually detect that there have been unauthorized access to attempts to this clinical data, analyze the entire method in detail, and strengthen any prevention activities which can be taken. So after the remediation has been done, it will actually give a set of recommendations on how it can be prevented. So here it utilizes Entra ID, which is the IAM part of the solution, that is identity and access management, and it uses Microsoft Graph Intelligence, which actually helps you to understand what are the actions being taken and what are the overall security posture of the organization. Another use case is empowering SOC teams with automations. So Copilot for security can actually automate a lot of routine security tasks, enabling the SOC teams to work on other things of major interest. As an example, suppose a user is reporting a phishing email. Now, in normal cases, without Security Copilot, what will happen is the security analyst will actually have to use a standard SOP, which is organization specific, and triage them email. Understand like what are the indicators of compromise, like how the attack happened, understand the domain reputation from which particular domain it was sent, the malicious, the phishing email, and then create a report under it. In Security for Copilot, what happens is, since it has integration with Outlook, Exchange Online, it has integration with Microsoft Graph Intelligence as well as Entra ID. It will actually detect that is a phishing email. It will do a domain reputation on its own, and it will extract the indicators of compromise, IOCs. So once it does this, it will give you the entire report, analysis report, and send it to your email or